Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So it's accuracy testing day. I've been out here shooting a few targets and see what kind of grouping I can get going on. And looks like Crossman pointed pellets right now are in the winning team. But we are going to compare the pointed 7.4 grain Crossman Premiers against the Crossman Premier 7.9 grain hollow points with no changes to the scope. Now you'll notice my gun is sitting on a kid's drum stool. It's a lot better than having that makeshift bipod, and I have not bothered to try mounting a bipod on this for one major reason. I don't have a sling mount right now for it. So I'm going to have to go and buy a sling mount, but that's not a big deal. I can get those, I think, in town here anyways. If not, I'll have to go to North Bay, get another kit. But this gun can definitely benefit from a bipod for ultimate stability. So if we do have any shots that kind of go off a bit, it is definitely going to be me, because I have had no problem getting bullseyes with this gun at all. It's just a matter of getting used to that shake, hand placement of the gun, even resting on this stool. It's a little tricky. You know, it is a Springer, so they do have kick to them and recoil, and that affects your shot placement. So you got to be, very mindful of what you're doing. But anyways, we're shooting out to 18 yards, and I've got a brand new target set up back here. So we're going to change the target, of course, with the different ammo, and this way we can compare the two. And hopefully that works. See the camera settle out. That looks pretty good, I think. Alright, so let's load her up and see what we can do. Right on the edge. Now the pointed pellets do fit the breech pretty good. They're not tight, so now, it didn't take a whole lot to sight in the scope on this gun. I did use a laser bore sighter though. Which got me really close, because that's what a bore sighter is for. Stoeger does not preset up anything on these guns, okay? I mean, the scope is probably preset at 100 yards, but you're not going to shoot a non-pal gun at 100 yards too easily. Okay, so that's a really tight group. So let's go change the target out, and I'll give you a real good close-up of that. A new target here. By the way, the review is coming up next on this thing. I wish this thing was a 22 caliber, because that's a pretty impressive group. That's equivalent to my 22 caliber QB78. So there's an up-close view of our grouping. I don't think you can ask for anything better than that, especially considering we're not even using a bipod. That is really, really good accuracy for even out to 18 yards. That is quite amazing. Okay, so we've got a nice clean target set up. And now we're going to go to the 7.9 grain hollow points and see how they do because I am not messing with the scope settings. Now there will be probably another accuracy test, but specifically with Predator Polymag pellets. Again, I'm not going to change the scope settings. We're going to see how they shoot just right out. Now whatever results we get, we should still be able to dial these in if we wanted to. But that's an unknown as well. But a pellet gun will choose the pellets it runs the best. And the idea is to get a pellet that can do what that just did with the pointed, and have other pellets with no scope readjustments to do the same. Then you know you've got something going there. It looks like we're not going to get such a good grouping with the hollow points. Now, like I said, I probably could dial the scope in to work perfectly well with these, but I'm a real fan of pointed pellets. Alright, we're going to take a couple of more shots. Now this scope, by the way, holds 0 absolutely perfect. Like, beautiful. I hate using the word perfect, but you know, it holds it so well. One last shot. We haven't even gotten a bullseye yet. Now these hollow points do fit the breech a lot tighter too, which is definitely going to affect point of impact. Alright, I'm going to call that quits. So, we'll zoom out. I'm going to go change the target anyways, just because I want to do more shooting after this video. Okay, so this is our target group with 7.9 grain hollow points. Now, the gun shoots them, but not that accurately. It is possible, though, given the pattern going down this way, we would probably be able to dial these things in. Really tight grouping, but hard to say. And like I said, I am a fan of the pointed pellets. And you know, just as a reminder target, this is the one we shot with the pointed pellets. Why would I want to change from these? I mean, that is super, super tight. Like, that is literally smaller than a dime. You know, that is really, really good accuracy out of that gun with those pointed pellets. So, with some guns, you can force them to run alternate pellets, you know, but you would have to readjust for the different pellets. But then on the other side of the fence, I've also had a lot of experience when it comes to trying to force a gun to run my favorite pellet, and that also does not happen very often. It's extreme rarity. The idea of dialing in a pellet gun or any gun for accuracy is to get the smallest, tightest group possible in the bullseye. Nowhere else but just in the bullseye. So you could go through a lot of different ammo choices before you'll find one that your gun absolutely adores. Like my QB78 22 cal, it absolutely adores the Predator Polymag and Metal Mag pellets, short or long version. you know, with no scope settings, and wherever I place my scope on the target, that's exactly where that gun hits every single time. Okay, now I have managed to dial in my Benjamin Classic 22 and my Crossman F11 to make them run RWS Super Point Extras. But when I try and go back to another pellet that they did like before that, I do have to make some scope adjustments, okay? And because I have thousands of rounds of the Super Point Extras, I'm not even going to bother changing those guns. And besides which, I get a pretty good deal when I buy mass bulk of pellets. So I figure, well, you know, I love the Super Point Extras. So those guns are going to stay running those ones. The QB will stay on the Predators. I'm going to try a few other different types of pellets through the QB to see if there's anything else that's equally as accurate with no changes to the scope, because you don't want to change the settings unless you really have to. Like, the only time you should have to change settings on your scope is when you're shooting at a much longer range, and you'll know that, you know, by how its point of impact hits. Right now we're at 18 yards. We could probably push this gun to about 25, 28 yards, and then we either have to compensate with the scope, which is very difficult to do when it's not a mil-dot scope, or we have to adjust our height, okay? You should not have to readjust windage, but you would have to readjust your height especially. But when you're dealing with different pellets, trying to sight them in, yeah, you're changing windage and elevation because point of impact is going to be definitely all over. So like with the hollow points, for example, they were getting closer and closer to the bullseye, but I couldn't even get a bullseye, no matter how stable I was. So I would have to definitely resight windage and elevation just to get those pellets to sight in. And then it's like, okay, but how much do I really like a hollow point pellet, right? So my favorite's the pointed, so we're not touching the settings. Anyways, that's our accuracy video. There will be another accuracy video when I get those Predator poly chips in for the 177 cal for this gun, because I'm kind of interested to see how well they do, and if I do have any major changes to do in the scope. Because if I do, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'll just continue with my Crossman pointeds, and I'll find another gun that those other ones put in. Because this is not a pest control rifle by any means. It's not suitable for that. It is a, you know, non-pal air rifle, and 177 is not the way to do pest control. If you're going to do it, you do need 22 caliber in an under 500 feet per second air rifle for proper pest control and small game hunting too. And depending on your gun, sometimes some medium-sized game if you're running closer to that 500 edge. Anyways, thanks so much guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I am going to go do some more shooting and have some more fun with this Stoeger. I'm also going to do the review video for you guys next as well, to let you know what I actually think about this thing. Stay tuned, but right now, we'll catch you on the next one.